Welcome back, Shalligators, and welcome back, Swifties! Taylor is back in the news because, as we know, as girls have gone through broken hearts and therefore feed off of the content that Taylor Swift gives us, she's recently released her re-recorded album of Red because, you know, that whole thing with Scooter Braun and I don't know, who gives a shit. Doesn't matter. We have new-ish Taylor songs and an excuse to dive back into our Taylor Swift playlist and the accompanying misery. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I put on Taylor Swift, it doesn't matter how good of a mood I'm in. I'm just like off an emotional cliff. And my friends are like, why are you sad? I'm like, I was listening to Taylor. And they're like, oh, say no more. And it's like everyone has their own sort of Taylor hole. Like one of my friends, hers is Evermore. If we come over and Lex has on Evermore, I'm like, I'm leaving. For me, it's Red. And so I'm so excited Red is back out. And Taylor's been making some like long, cool music videos. She did a 10-minute version of the song All Too Well, which, oh my God. We talked about it in the last video, but we're going to talk about it a little bit more. And she's got a new song from the vault called I Bet You Think About Me. And she did a really cool music video that her bestie Blake Lively directed. And there's two topics that bubbled up from this video. Because not just the video, but the song. So the song is about not blending in with a dude's clique and having him like down on you. The words organic shoes. This is why we love Taylor. Because she's just specific enough that you're like, this is fucking genius. But she's broad enough that everyone can relate to these songs. And we've done videos about Taylor's not so amazing sides. We have a whole Taylor Swift playlist, so check that out. But I mean, that bitch can write. That girl can write. And she just gets to the heart of things. You're like, yes. So I think I'm going to do two Taylor Swift videos about this song. This one is going to focus on how to blend in with a guy's clique. Maybe it's his family, it's his social level, it's his friends. Now, we've talked before in the past about, do opposites actually attract? We talk about this a lot in terms of Kourtney Kardashian and Travis Barker, not Travis Scott. Ugh. But do opposites really attract? And we talk about like the pillars of compatibility. And one huge factor of compatibility is, how do you both recreate? Like, do you have the same hobbies? Do you have the same basic interests? Another is, do you have the same goals in life? If he's like, travel and fuck, I never want to settle down, I never want kids, and you want a more domestic life, that's going to be tough. So let's say that those things do align, but maybe the way you guys grew up, you're from a less wealthy background. He, like the subject of Taylor's song, is a silver spoon kind of kid. How can you sort of blend these two worlds without completely erasing who you are or without completely erasing who he is? I've got some actual tips. But before we get started, my new clothing drop from SLXO is now available. We've got two designs. One that say rich and sad and the other that says evil is more fun. Those designs, evil is a little bit more lightweight. We've got them in crops. Rich and sad is like a heavier fabric. Those are Champion hoodies and they're so comfy and cozy. Click the link down in the bio to check that out. Okay, so let's talk Taylor. This song, like, I love the lyrics. I don't love the melody. I think she was trying to go for this like yokel country, like, because I think that was a metaphor for the dynamic of the relationship in general. Like, he saw her as kind of like this hillbilly, and, you know, I think the tune is supposed to echo that. To me, it sounds kind of like a drinking song, like you sway and you got grog at medieval times, rah, rah, rah. And I just think she could have done better melodically. Lyrically, you know, she nails it as per usual. So the big question is, who is this about? Who is this about? Now, her song All Too Well, we know, is about Jake Gyllenhaal. And the thing that comes up in that song is the scarf. You know, you still have my old scarf because it smells like me. And in this video for I Bet You Think About Me, she gives this dude's bride a scarf. So that's kind of the big Easter egg that like, oh, this is about Jake. I actually think this is about Connor Kennedy. I do. Because think about it. Like, Jake Gyllenhaal, did he grow up like super rich? Because that seemed to be like the polarizing thing. Like, oh, like from this amazing pedigree. Maybe he did. I probably should have Googled it. But Taylor, my favorite Taylor is the Taylor that pretends she grew up like in a double wide. She didn't. Her dad was in finance. I don't even know if her mom worked. Like, her father is a business genius, had the money to kind of finance her getting into more business ventures. Like, for example, touring is expensive because the buses are expensive. She bought the bus company. She's not poor, right? And come on. I mean, she grew up like maybe more rural, like her big old Christmas tree farm story. But it's like, okay, Taylor, okay. Like you didn't grow up just like in the sticks eating possum stew. Come on. But when you're confronted with someone who is in a completely different stratosphere of privilege and wealth and pedigree, like a Kennedy, I mean, it doesn't matter how middle class fancy you are, right? You're not that. You're not a Rothschild, a Vanderbilt, a Gates. You're just not there. And so that's why I'm kind of wondering if it's Connor. But then all the references to the hipster shit is so clearly a dude like Jake who's like, eh. But it's also a dude like John Mayer. So maybe this is just an amalgam of all these guys she's dated. And that could be significant. Like, she chronically dates guys who are a little too cool for school. And I get that because there's something great about doing that, because that means you're kind of willing to learn about the people you date. I always want to date a guy who can teach me something, whether that's about crypto or stock futures or hunting or Ram 3500s on 37s, whatever it is. I don't want to be with someone who's my mirror image. My God, hell would be dating another YouTuber, which I did this summer, and it was a fucking nightmare. So anyway, that's a whole another story. So I think it's cool when we date people outside of our comfort zone. It speaks to our confidence that we're confident enough to be around people who aren't exactly like us. You know, oh my God, like you went hunt. How does that work? Like you like sit up in a hunting camp? What even is that? I am very used to this in Montana because, again, like very few people kind of get my world and what I do. And so I am always stepping into theirs. But what we want to happen when we date someone outside of our wheelhouse is for them to, I don't know, fucking appreciate that. For them to be like, wow, this girl has no idea about sailing and yachts and the Kennedys, but she's so willing to learn. And you know what? I value that. So I want to learn about her life. That's not how it goes usually. I mean, seriously. And I'm learning this based on my dating in Montana. And like, yo, I'm gonna be a little bitchy here, but like Taylor dating Kennedy is dating up. I'm sorry, me dating a dude who like goes hunting and fishing and like I'm dating down. Sorry. Do you know what Stoic philosophy is? Have you traveled? You don't even have a passport? Got it. So look, that doesn't mean you're a bad person or you're an idiot. You have a whole different kind of intelligence than I have. But me being willing to learn about you is very rarely a two-way street. I found like guys are like, oh yeah, this means I'm cooler, so fuck you. If anything, I find that guys are more like, there's more derision. They're more condescending to me. Like, yeah, exactly. I know how to hunt. What the fuck do you know how to do? Publish 2 books before I'm 27? How about that? This is a problem. We know this. And I'm not saying every guy is like this, but this is something I have found happens. You get a dude who like sort of falls in love with their own narcissism that you are in a way facilitating because you are curious about them. And the takeaway is like, so am I not supposed to be curious about anybody? Am I not supposed to say, wow, your life is really cool? How do you know how to fix an engine? What's a transmission? I really don't know. If you guys have the answer, I have no idea. And I'm genuinely impressed, but then I'm genuinely peevish that they don't have that sort of reciprocation from me. Wow, you know what an NFT is? Oh my God, girl, tell me. That's so cool. It's just like, yeah, I also know what a carburetor is. And I feel like that's kind of the vibe of this Taylor Swift song. Like, I'm willing to know about you. You seem to take that and run with it and use it as a tool of condescension against me. But look, I'm not trying to paint a gloomy picture of you dating someone outside of your comfort zone. No, not at all. I'm just trying to kind of like let you know that going into this, you got to go in eyes wide open, because if you get a whiff of that, done. Fucking table that shit. Nope. No. I'm sorry. No, I don't know how to skin a deer in the woods. I'm not Dexter, but I do know about all this other stuff that you don't know about. And we can have our own lanes and give each other space and not the evil eye, and maybe some respect instead. If you're not willing to do that, you don't respect me on any level. So you're not getting access to my mind, my emotional real estate, or the puss. You're not. I'm sorry. Just, you're not. But let's say it's not that way. Or, let's see. Let's say that you do get the sense that a guy is very interested in you, but you are just trying to fit more into his life. Oh, this is tough. Whether it's based on religion, socioeconomic, race. I mean, that's tough too, you know? Like, I've dated people who aren't white, and it's like, I want to blend in but not lose myself or look like I'm cosplaying, you know, as like, I too am Korean, you know? Like, no, I'm not. How do you find that intersection? Well, you have to look at what is the intersection of your personalities. What do you have in common? Because if you can't answer that question, you're an exoticizer, you know? If you girls are Asian, Black, Indian, I know you know what an exoticizer male looks like. My Asian friends, like all my friends are Asian because my town was 50% Asian, so like all my friends are Asian. And they encounter this all the time. Like white dudes in finance and their powder blue button-ups working at Goldman love Asian chicks. And they've always said, like, I am so wary of white dudes who only date Asians. And you would think like, well, no, that's good. They're like embracing Asian culture. They're like, no. They have this like very remedial idea of what an Asian chick is going to be like. Like she's going to be like, oh, you're so clever. You're so hot like football player. You know, like they think that's what all Asian women are like. And it's just so like, what? It's so one-dimensional. And I mean, my God, my Asian friends, Princeton educated, venture capitalists, like that's the real wrong approach to take with these. I mean, they will body you. So they are very cautious of people who only want to date them because like, it's so exotic. Whoa, look at you. And we kind of can't do that either. And to be fair, I have done it most of my life. Not like with races, but like, I want to date a preppy guy. Oh, you went to Yale. Like, oh, I want to date a cowboy. Was I saying, I want to date someone kind? I want to date someone who loves to travel too. I mean, yeah, if you ask me at a party what I'm looking for, that's what I would say. That's the diplomatic answer. But when I looked at how I actually dated, no, that's not what I was doing. No, I was cosplaying into these different universes. Now, partly because I wanted to expand my horizons. I wanted to see, what's this ranch life like? Oh my God, take me out to the vineyard. This is so interesting. It was sort of a way to live more lives. My mom always said, there's so many ways to live one life. Why stick with just one? And she was saying that when she was encouraging me to leave New York and move to Montana or anywhere. You know, she's like, you've lived this city life. You've done this. You know it. People who are also living this life, there's nothing they're going to teach you. There's no real exploration there. So try something new. And a way we can do that is by dating people who live in a totally different history, reality, biorhythm, all of that stuff. So it's not always a bad thing, but we can't only date that. You're not dating a cowboy. You're dating Chris, who, yeah, he can cowboy, but he's got hopes and dreams and this and that. Like, do you actually mesh? So what is the intersection of your personality? The next thing you want to do, make sure you have a lane. Do you have a lane of your own? A lot of times we date dudes out of our wheelhouse in this other, especially if it's a different social or economic class, as an emotional getaway car, right? If I date a Kennedy, no one from my hometown is going to look at me like a fucking loser who doesn't do anything. We have to make sure we have our own lane. Now, I've talked before in videos about how to stop being jealous of like perfect girls. And my examples that I've lived with when I was living in New York and working media was like, no, I'm not walking into like the high school gym with like the cool chicks at homecoming. I'm walking into Soho House and sitting next to Emily Ratajkowski, who actually is really cool. She's super smart. She's really cool. She's gorgeous. Just, yeah. I mean, this is the thing, typical nightmare, you know? And so I realized like, okay, maybe I can't tear these people down to, you know, ameliorate my own ego. Like, well, she's a slut and she's a bitch and she's dumb. She's none of those things, actually. She's really cool. So if I can't tear someone down, which we shouldn't, how can I puff myself up in a healthy way? Okay, she's pretty, she's cool, she's smart. Okay, well, I'm cool and I'm smart. Maybe we're smart in different ways. I think I'm pretty. Do I have that body? No. Do I need to have that body to get a boyfriend, to get a great job, to have friends? No. No, I don't. And if I feel insufficient, that is my psyche and my intuition telling me, okay, there's something you need to work on. The thing I don't feel confident about, my body. Shallon, maybe you should start training for that 5K. Maybe you should get up and do Pilates every single morning. Maybe you should just do some stretches before bed and make your body kind of more of a focus. Okay. Now I've taken a situation that priorly made me feel small and insufficient, low, whatever. And I've used it instead of a destination. I've used it as a signpost to propel me to something better. So think about why you feel like inferior around this guy. So let's go into Taylor's song. Talking about a book I've never even heard of. This book changed my life and I've never even heard of it. Okay, maybe that's the signal. Hey, I've kind of let my reading slide. I don't read books anymore. I read the Daily Mail. And when I'm driving around the car, I'm listening to my sad ass playlist when I could maybe be listening to a book on tape or something. Not tape, an audio book. I'm like showing my age. Okay, so think about what's rankling you about why you don't fit in. But maybe it's something like, no, I have my lane and I feel okay. And you're right. I'm going to use those notes, get my literacy up or work out a little bit more. But what if it's just I don't belong in this crowd? He's never known what it was like to be on food stamps and my family was, or he doesn't have student loans and I do. A lot of times, the socioeconomic thing becomes the most difficult because it really speaks to so much of our psyche. It speaks to entitlement, luck. Why was he born into that family and I was born into mine? He doesn't even know what poor is. He doesn't even know what struggle looks like. He doesn't know what it's like to have a narcissistic mother, an alcoholic father, or a sister who sucks all the air out of the room and I'm somehow the bad guy. He's got this big, beautiful, happy family. Okay. Being resentful of that person doesn't fix your family. It doesn't fix your past. It doesn't rewind the past. It doesn't do anything but, again, create this divide. Create this divide. I've also talked in videos about how not to be jealous is not keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Keep your friends close and keep your objects of jealousy even closer. Learn why they're like that. If nothing else, you're going to learn that, hey, their life might not be perfect either. I grew up in a town with incredible wealth. I'm from Irvine, California. It's one of the nicest places, truly in America. And I was raised with a single mom and I felt like I might as well have been raised by a centaur. The way these people looked to me. Because it was mom and dad, perfect siblings, golden retrievers, maybe a lab if you're spicy. But that was the culture there. I mean, to have a single parent was insane. And so I would always compare my family, even though my family was happy, stable, loving, supportive, to the optics of these other families. I was comparing my social mask, the optics of my family, to their social mask, not though to the reality. I get older, you look back, it's oh, Mrs. Pritchard's actually an alcoholic and Mr. Hodge drank himself to death and so-and-so was maybe molested. It's holy fucking shit. You take just a little bit of that shine off, you scratch the surface, things aren't always perfect because money doesn't solve problems. I mean, some problems, but it doesn't create love. It doesn't create stability emotionally. It doesn't fix narcissism or alcoholism. I mean, it can if you dive into therapy, but sadly, a lot of people don't. So I'm not saying you want to date someone and dismantle their perfect image and be aha, I knew your mother was a nightmare. No, but it just get a little closer and be okay, they seem perfect, but I'm only focusing on this one category. I'm only focusing on the optics, the way they feel. Not like they're living up to the standards of their parents, kind of adrift in the world. What is their legacy? The things they feel are usually the things we all feel. And it's important to connect with people on that level. So if they're talking about yachts and whatever, try to speak at a level that's a little bit deeper. I spoke about this recently in a video. I forget even what it was about, but I went on this trip this year to Mexico. I think in March, and we were in Punta Mita, and we were staying with like these just billionaires, you know, and they're like tech giants, dynastically wealthy, and I was like, I'm on the internet, like I'm an idiot, you know, and they were like teasing each other about not having like the latest Gulf Stream. I'm like, and I realized I can't compete in that category. I can't talk about yachts and private chefs and this and that. I can't. But what can I compete in? And I don't mean to use the word compete like it is a competition, but like, what can I talk about? Oh, our host, who's like an elegant, wonderful, accomplished man, was a philosophy major. I took a lot of philosophy classes. So that's what we talked about. We talked about Stoic philosophy. I steered the conversation to things that I knew about, right? We talked about our family. We talked about our pets. And no, we weren't talking about jets and yachts. But I found most people, when they're looking to connect, doesn't really build a solid foundation anyway. When you can get a little bit deeper, now you're building a connection. Something I also do when I'm in a circle where I don't feel completely part of it, I target the other outsiders. Now, I don't want to say outsiders like they're freaks or whatever, but one of the girls I made friends with on that trip was the host's girlfriend, and she's wonderful. She's not in tech. She doesn't care about any of this. And she was like, I don't even know what they're talking about. I was like, girl, me neither. And we just got so close, and she's so wonderful because she was also like, I don't care about this. But that's the thing, like, bond with the people who are maybe a little on the periphery in terms of what the main vibe might be, whether it's sports or crypto or Martha's Vineyard or whatever. Get that strength in numbers with people who you might have more in common with. Don't necessarily go for the queen bee and try to make him or her like you. Do you need to? Is that integral to the success of your relationship with the person that you're dating? Or even if it's friendship? Oh, I know when I talked about this, the Evil Week video on how to manipulate rich people and how to ingratiate yourself into different social strata. So definitely go check that out. Another thing you want to do, and this is very important, you want to turn your worst story into your best story. You want to turn your origin story, your victim narrative, into a tale of fucking lions, a champion narrative. I used to be very ashamed of my past and my childhood, and I'm ashamed to say I was ashamed about it. But where I grew up, I was made to feel ashamed about it. I remember being 8 years old. I was in 2nd grade, and some mom was like, where's your father? And I didn't know. I didn't have an answer for that. And my mom had always just told me, say he's not in the picture. And I'm like, you know, that's not a wrong thing to say, but like it didn't give me any information. Like I didn't know at that time. And so I was like, he's not in the picture. And I remember this mom like glaring down at me like I was this deplorable, unwashed street urchin. And I'm like, that shit never leaves you. You know, when someone makes you feel ashamed about something, especially as a child, something you can't even control, like that gets deep in there.
Oh, single mom, huh? She's just gonna be working at Cinnabon.
The airport, knocked up 4 times before she's 17. I know, just tragic. Really. Okay. Like that has fueled me. And now that I feel like it has fueled me to the point where I can like let it go, I no longer look at that origin story as something like, oh, a single mom. I'm like, fuck yeah, I was raised by a single mom, you dumb motherfuckers. Now you're in rehab for Oxy. You knocked up the housekeeper, didn't you, Chad? And I'm crushing it, right? It's probably not healthy to have to turn the screws on my former enemies to make myself feel better, but I'm an imperfect creature, okay? My point is, I now view my origin story as the thing that created this lion of a woman. It's not in spite of that I was successful. That's why I was successful. Because I knew I was a champion. I knew my family was amazing and loved me. And God damn it, I was going to show the whole world. And I was going to yell until everyone heard me. So now, when I talk about my history, like, yeah, I was raised by a single mom. There were tough times for sure. But you know what? That gave me so much empathy. That gave me so much fire in my belly. I didn't have things handed to me. I had to create my self-confidence from the ground up by falling down, by getting back up, by paying my own rent, by getting myself out of debt. That's a gift. That has made me so much more resilient and strong and confident. And it's made me free. I'm not beholden to anyone else. Daddy's not paying my bills. I don't have to answer to anybody. I belong to me. damn, feels kind of good. So when I'm in these situations where priorly I would feel uncomfortable, I do have a lot of preppy friends. We've been to the vineyard a lot. I go back, just even in my own mind, in those moments of like, I don't feel confident. Everyone here, like, they went to Choate and they have these perfect lives. I'm like, great. That's great for them. But there's handicaps to those pluses, you know, those benefits and privileges as well. And you know what? Their lane is not my lane. Their history doesn't have to be my history. Because look, I'm here, aren't I? I'm on the vineyard too. I'm having conversations with a Harvard grad, just like he went to ITT Tech. I can connect with these people. The only one who thinks I don't belong is me. Well, Shallon, you're saying, that's not true because I'm in a situation where they definitely don't think I belong. Who the fuck are they? Who the fuck are these people? Does your boyfriend think you belong? No? Why is he your boyfriend then? You're dating someone who fundamentally makes you feel like an outsider? A relationship is supposed to create an insider thing. That's literally what it is. You carve out your own little piece of the universe just for yourself. He's supposed to be your biggest champion and protector. He's not? What the fuck are you doing? Okay. Let's say he is your biggest champion. He thinks you belong. Great, then fuck all these other people. Dating's not a democracy. No one's asking what they think. They have their own weird ulterior motives. And when I encounter people, because on this Mexico trip, there was one person who just tore into me to the point that other people were like, why are you being so mean to Shallon? Just a dude too, like a married man. And I'm like, what? And it's because it just galled him that I was enjoying the same beautiful experience, the same fruits of the labor. I was connecting with people, but I wasn't in crypto or venture capitalist, and I don't even know who Eric Schmidt is. Blech! Like, no, I don't. And you know what? People like me anyway. So all these trappings that you're just jerking off to this like tech industry smorgasbord of people who I've never even heard of. It actually doesn't get you as far as you think. It actually isn't going to make you more likable because people like me and I don't even know. I'm connecting with people on a real level. You're connecting with people on a surface level and you're wondering why that's not getting you farther. You're looking at me and you're so fucking mad because I'm coming at people real, true, emotional, open, unapologetic, not fronting, not pretentious. And weirdly, people like that. I'm coming authentic. You can't be authentic. And it pisses you off to see someone who can. Because you're a coward and I'm brave. Why do we like people who are brave? You know why? Exactly. Because we're pack animals. And what is a brave person? A leader. And what is a leader? A leader is a pack leader, obviously. So people want to be around leaders. It gives them a sense of comfort. It gives them a sense of, wait, she's being super real. She doesn't know who Eric Schmidt is. I do, but I actually don't care. I've never met him. I like the fact that she's like, yo, I don't know. I'll talk about Marcus Aurelius all day. I don't know who Eric Schmidt is. Whatevs. And she's fine with it. She's not apologetic. I like that she's standing in it. She's bold and confident that she's so smart. She doesn't need to know who all these people are. She's confident in her own intelligence. So then maybe I could be intelligent too. Maybe I could have real conversations. Hey, yeah, I started a tech firm. It's actually not doing well and I don't know what to do. We need someone to break that surface conversation, to break the small talk, to break the pretentious talk, someone to just be real. I cannot be around surface talkers. I can't be around them. I would rather have a new person who comes into our group, walk in and be like, my vagina is on fire. I have got a yeast infection, just my vag. And I'm like, gross, but that's a down ass bitch. I like her. She keeps it real. Because then I know when I connect with them, it's on a real level. When I ask them for advice or their opinion, I know I'm getting the truth. When they give me feedback, I also know it's the truth. I want to be around someone who's comfortable in their own skin. And when people are judgmental about surface things, oh, you went to a state school? That is so cute. I'm like, you're so insecure about your education. Like, this is your whole personality. This is the whole crux of your personality that you went to Princeton. It's actually not the crux of mine. I've got a great education. I graduated. I moved on. I'm living my life. You're the one who hasn't. So don't tow me down to where you are thinking that that makes you right. It just makes you a clown. Now, if you encounter things like this, you can call people out. You can call people out. Like, really, Devin, you think I'm silly because I don't know how to hunt, even though I've lived in New York City the last 10 years? Where would I have learned how to hunt? Well, I mean, what are you doing in Montana? Like, I'm learning. I was asking you things to try to learn, but the way you're responding tells me maybe you don't know, or maybe you're so insecure about your hunting skills, you have to make a woman feel bad about herself. And oddly, like, I haven't tried to make you feel bad about not knowing anything about crypto, because that's kind of the future. I'm not sure that, like, mule deers are. You can call people out. Is that going to make you friends? I mean, honestly, you never know. I bet that there's some other people in that group who are like, we've been thinking the same thing about him. He does this with everything. Not just mule deers. He does it with this, with that. Like, he's always just cutting people down. You could also do that to set the precedent. You're not the one. You're not the one. It's like, Devin, you want to talk about real shit? Tell me about your family. Tell me about how you're feeling. Like, let's do it. You want to sit here and try to make me feel dumb because I don't have the exact same skill set as you? Why would I? Do you have the skill set that I do? Can you bake your under eye makeup? Can you do a winged liner? Can you code a video on YouTube? No. Do I need you to in order to be my friend? No. I like that you have a different skill set. If you don't, then we don't need to be friends. If you display weakness, then people have a tendency to pile on because chances are this person who's chirping you has done it to a lot of other people and they're trying to run you out of the group. Sometimes all it takes is one call out. Like, what exactly is wrong with the state school, Kim? Can you explain it to me? I'm just a little confused. Maybe it's my state school education. Did you apply to Cal Poly? Oh, you didn't? Huh. Why? Did you think you couldn't get in? I didn't even want to go. That's what people always say when they don't think they can get in. But no, go ahead and explain it to me. I love, like, the tweet, you know, that's like, if a man makes a sexist joke, just keep saying, what do you mean? I don't get it. To make them explain it, because they're going to sound ridiculous. Like, you know, because women, like, should be in the kitchen. What do you mean? Because they're dumb. Really? What? I'm sorry, I don't get it. Women are dumb? Yeah. Dumb. Like, you just give them enough rope to hang themselves. Do this with people who are trying to make you feel inferior. So my next tip might sound like it goes in the face of everything I've just said, but you know what? If there is a skill set you think this group of people have that you don't, learn. You know what I did one time? I took etiquette classes at the Plaza Hotel in New York City because I was at an incredibly formal dinner, like a gala, and I'm like, I just really wish my table manners were better. And I have to say, like, I will pat myself on the back. They are excellent.
Just the fact that I had the gumption to prove to myself I'm not afraid to learn
and to step into this new sort of sphere, that will be worth it. So I took this class and I learned a few extra things. I'm like, now I feel confident. Am I maybe still going to mess up once or twice and put an elbow on the table if I'm at a formal thing with some Rothschilds? Maybe. But I will at least know, hey, I'm learning. I'm on the path of learning. So if there's something you want to know about, fucking learn. You know what else I did this summer when I was dating that engineer? I picked up aerospace engineering for dummies. And I tried to read it. It was, my mind just doesn't orient this way. I can write you a story about an astronaut. I cannot tell you how an astronaut works. It's just really complicated. But you know what? I tried. And I learned, okay, this is just kind of not in my intellectual wheelhouse. That's okay. I have more of a vocabulary. I know what this means and this means. Now, at the very least, I can ask more informed questions. I'm taking barrel racing classes. I'm signing up, I think when I'm going to snowbird for the winter, but I get back in the spring, I'm going to go back to school to MSU, and I'm taking like animal husbandry classes. I want to know how cattle farming works. I want to know how you track an elk through the woods. Not like I'm going to do these things, but I don't want to feel so very much on the outside. I want just enough information that I can talk about these things in an intelligent way in these circles. I can, again, ask better questions. And even if I don't, even if my questions are still so dumb, at least I can sleep easy being like, I am still growing as a person. I'm still learning. And if these people, whoever I'm talking to, the hunters, the preps, the SpaceX people, if they look down on me, well, they're the clowns. They're not trying to learn about my life. They're not trying to learn about YouTube or content creation or crypto or NFTs or anything like that. So who's the clown here? The person who stopped growing. That is forever clown shit. Maybe my growth is slow. Maybe my learning is clumsy and I have to read this book again and again to get it. And maybe I'll never get it, but I'm trying. And isn't that what life is about? Growth is hard. That's why it's called growing pains. At least I'm stretching and branching out. And maybe this relationship won't last. And maybe our differences really are too great at the end of the day. But okay, even if that's true, because I have stepped out of my comfort zone to learn the best that I can to try to connect with people in a healthy, organic way. And even if this relationship goes belly up, I walk away better. He doesn't. His friends don't. Fuck, you could have learned a lot from me, man, but you didn't. I have Plaza Hotel level table manners. You could have learned what a shrimp fork is. You didn't. I did. I never lose. I win or I learn. And some people, they're not a destination. Some people are a rest stop on the way. Some people are a signpost to push you further on that journey. So if things aren't going well, and if you're realizing I'm just never going to blend into his circles, I'm always going to say the wrong thing, I'm always going to look stupid, this is simply too much emotional effort for me. Because sometimes that's it, you know? Sometimes you just want to be around people who are a little bit more of that Venn diagram overlap with you. That's okay. We're pack animals. And I don't know any wolves that hang out with hippopotamuses or bald eagles. You know, we stick to kind of our own kind, whatever that, however you define that. That's all right. But see what you can get from it. Every relationship, you know, you come out of it. I cry whenever anything goes belly up, even if I knew they weren't my forever, because it's sad. But I also try to look and say, well, what have I learned? How has this made me better? I know how it's made me worse. So I need to go into each relationship. What am I getting out of this? Not in like a user way, but like I want to learn more about electricity and date an electrician. I don't even know how electricity works. It's like witchcraft, you know? But like, how does a microwave work? Nuclear energy. Did you know that? Interesting. So I'm always trying to get something positive out of something negative because what the fuck else choice do we have at the end of the day? I mean, really? Okay, you had this experience, someone hurt you, it didn't work out, you feel out of place. That happened. You can't change that. But you can change what it means. You can say, that was a painful experience for no fucking reason, and here I am just mad. Or you can say, that was a painful experience, but it was a painful chapter in a larger story of a champion. This was the dark night of the soul before I learned, and our protagonist went on to rise and conquer and come out the other side better. But that's up to you. And it takes great strength of character to be able to do that. It's hard when the going gets tough and your ego is wounded and your heart is broken to be like, but what's the good part about this? It is really tough. But it's also muscle memory. And if you can start doing this, even in retrospect, look at things from the past that maybe don't have the same emotional weight right now, like you're not still crying over some dude 5 years ago. Look back and be like, okay, well, what did I learn from that? You know what? He taught me the principle of Archimedes, and now I know how a boat floats. You know, like when I date dudes who are into sailing, I'm like, I don't understand how this boat floats. I really just don't get it. Oh, it's about water displacement. I'm like, oh, okay, now this makes sense to me. Great. Do that and you will become accustomed to doing it. It will become second nature. And therefore, you will move through your entire life so much more elastic and so much more bulletproof because your central focus is not getting a guy to like you, trying to fit in. It's learning and growing for you. Not for him, not for his bitch ass friends, for you. And that is a life well lived. I want to know who you think this Taylor song is about. Do you think it's, like I said, sort of an amalgam of a whole bunch of dudes she's dated? Tell me the most out of the ordinary guy you have dated, and how did you blend in with his people? I mean, did you buy their love and bring everyone brownies every time you hung out? That really does work. I mean, it really does. You know, people love gifts. It's sweet. Did you change him? Did he come over to your side? Who did you date that tried to blend into your sphere and circle? Did it work? So I want to know. We're going to be back. I think I'm going to do another video about what to do when your ex still thinks about you. I'll see you later, Shalligators.